All right, so I want to talk about Esther. So not only is Esther interesting because it's the only book in the Bible that doesn't mention the name God, it's also interesting because of the prophetic blueprint that God laid out for us to follow in terms of our set apart season. So Esther was an orphan. Her real name was Hadassah, and she was raised by Mordecai, who is, I guess, her cousin because she was his uncle's daughter. So when I think about this transition from Esther being the place that she knew into the palace, the Holy Spirit is pointing out to me the obedience that Esther had and how her obedience gave her favor when it was time for her to go into the palace. And also how Mordecai never abandoned Esther. He never left her for an orphan again. In the same way that Jesus told us that he won't leave us as an orphan, he gifted us with the Holy Spirit. That's the same thing that Mordecai did with Esther. So while Esther was under Haggai's care, and Haggai was just the keeper of the women, she had to go through this 12-month period of being purified with oil of myrrh and with sweet odors, with fragrances, all this different stuff. And when it comes to this whole lifestyle as being a believer, I think a lot of times we focus on the external stuff, like maybe how we dress changes, or just the simple fact that like we don't go to the club anymore, or maybe we don't cuss anymore, or things like that where we can show it off, and not the fact that by us being known as a tree of righteousness, even the way that if someone walks past us, the kind of aroma that our fruit gives off, that matters too. Esther was promoted to the position of being queen because of her ability to yield to the people that were training her. And our promotion comes in our ability to yield to the advice of the Holy Spirit. As God's garden, which we are God's garden and he is our gardener, it takes time for him to test us in different environments to make sure our character is truly being developed, to make sure our fruit is really adding up and we don't just look good, we actually smell good, we taste good, we are consistent. How are you when you leave your family and your church folk and you go back to hang out with your friends from your dead life? Do you revert back to your old ways? Do you cuss up a storm? Do you smoke and drink with them? Do you just basically act like everything God put in you is just thrown away? Things like that matter. You know, before Esther went into this whole new thing, Mordecai literally told her not to talk about her nationality or where she came from. And the amazing thing about it is Esther never fumbled. Like she never told. She committed to this new life that she was having to live. And in her faithfulness during this season, God was able to guide her to become everything he called her to be, which was a queen.